Hello, on behalf of Onvoi and Onvoi Interactive, I'm going to add some additional insight as to how will it work? How will the Onvoi Entertainment System work? The little box, the interactive console unit, is going to go underneath the TV set. And then we have the keypad device, the remote control with two push buttons. We've got two different variations that are color coordinated in order to facilitate and maximize, optimize consumer satisfaction with the product. Now, what else can we add to it? What's missing? When you study the other videos on the Onvoi pitch deck, the financial pitch deck, well, what about the software engine, the user interface? So the consumer is sitting on the couch and the TV set's in front of him or her, and they're holding one of the Onvoi keypad devices with two buttons. Well, how do they navigate through the menus? When they want to choose the title that they want to watch and participate in terms of menu navigation, what's the feature that's going to allow them to scroll and select? We're thinking about adding a four-way directional control asset component to the side panel of the keypad device. So this way they can go click up and down and left and right, and it'll be a little control asset, four-way control asset that can be installed and programmed in the side panel of the keypad device, and that way they can scroll and use one of the two main buttons to select the title. And that will be that. That's how we enhance the practicality, and that's how we complete the strategic vision of Onvoi and the Onvoi Entertainment System, the OES. So, now, we talked about content selection and choosing the titles. Well, what are these titles? When you go to the Onvoi website, you see different visual graphics that are promoting or hinting at interactive entertainment content franchises. So what are the people going to watch? We discussed that eventually, once the hardware, the keypad device and the interactive console unit, the Onvoi box, once it's programmed and ready to go, and we're already working on programming the microprocessors, the semiconductors, etc., that's the main initiative at hand, and that's what we'll be focused on. If God willing, we can get the funding. But then, when it comes to the content, we can do licensing with the studios, which we foresee delays in that happening, needless delays, because they're not going to be as efficient or as prolific as Onvoi is, because we move at a very fast pace. But as far as the Onvoi entertainment franchises, and we call them interactive entertainment franchises, because it's not passive watching of content. You don't just sit on the couch and drool and be bored and passively watch a show. Instead, you get to participate in the storytelling, and you get to guide the adventures, guide the stories of the beloved characters on the screen. So what type of content, of shows, miniseries, will we have on the OES, the Onvoi Entertainment System? Let's start with aeronautics. Aeronautics will be a fantastic franchise, interactive franchise, that will involve space and admiralty. Space, we all know about it. Admiralty, we're talking about marine machinery, from the deck, the aircraft carrier, to the jet ski, to the cruise ship, to the cargo freight vessel, to the tugboat. We're going to have a litany of beloved characters that are going to have constructive, practical, informative, and beneficial themes that they present to the general public, to the audience. And it's going to be a combination of not kumbaya, pie in the sky dreams. Some of that will be there, idealism, but it will also be practical learning lessons for the audience of all ages, children and adults. And they will be able to watch aeronautics and learn a lot about government, learn a lot about science, learn about a lot about everyday life, learn a lot about technology, where it's heading, where it's been, and where we're at now. And aeronautics. It sounds general, right? But we're talking about space and admiralty, and we're talking about marine machinery. And hand in hand with that franchise will be reservoir. Reservoir means water, a pool of water, or a body of water. Well, some people would think reservoir dogs. Okay, it's the opposite of that. That was counterproductive. That was destructive. That was harmful for people, for viewers, for generations. It was needless violence, stupidity. It was not important, and it will be forgotten. So I hate to even hint at cross-promoting that. Perhaps we'll change that. But aeronautics and reservoir will change the maritime landscape. How long have we thought about the idea of the Coast Guard, the Navy, and the Marines not being up to par as far as security, not being up to par as far as how did all the drugs flow into the country from all these different nations? What is the source of the problem? Well, we can either forget about it, wear a blindfold, and say there's nothing we can do. There's only several branches within the military-industrial complex that we can count on. Or we can fix it. We can positively reform certain branches that have been underperforming due to no fault of their own. There's great people in those branches. They're doing great work. The Space Force, which is a branch of the Air Force, a sub-branch of the Air Force, but it's also a new, entirely unique and independent military branch of the military, of the armed forces. They're up and running. While all this is going on in 2020, the year 2020. Well, that's fantastic news. We need a program like aeronautics to further promote these branches of the military, the U.S. Armed Forces, and emphasize to the public the good that they're doing while being subtle. It's not going to be direct military propaganda, but it's going to be, here are the issues, here's some of the problems, here's how we're fixing it. And it doesn't need to be a government-oriented crusade, but it will instill practical values, wholesome values, and it will leave a very positive mark on the consumer. When they watch it, they're going to behave better in their everyday lives. They're going to comport themselves better. They're going to make better decisions. And they're going to have a bird's eye view of what's going on. And they're going to be able to intelligently process situations and so on and so forth. That's aeronautics. Let's talk about cadence. For how long did we have Friday is the day of the week? Let's talk about the days of the week. Cadence is temporality. Time is the theme, the major theme. How many months and weeks and days of the week did we throw into the trash can, figuratively speaking, because of the poisonous stream of information that so many consumers and so many individuals and so many American citizens were receiving in their everyday lives. Wednesday was hump day. Do you think that's productive for a workplace? When men and women show up at an office to work their job and earn their paycheck and produce something for society, and they're thinking about Wednesday as hump day? Do you think Friday, essentially being a third day added to the weekend, is productive for society? We've become a 9-to-5 society. Now, if we had security and sustainability, and if we all had the luxury of a lot of cash on hand, 9-to-5 makes sense. But then we have a 7-day week, and Sunday we all go to church, and that's good. But then Sunday became the day of rest. So then we had Saturday, and then Friday was supposed to be the last work day. But then they took Friday away because you all know it. We've all had jobs. You show up on Friday, nothing gets done. It was the mentality of, I might as well not have shown up. Maybe Friday's good for meetings. And I could get into the seasonal aspect of it. Why would we program so many holidays back to back to back to back to back? From Thanksgiving to Christmas, from Christmas to Hanukkah, from Hanukkah to the New Year, New Year to Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day to St. Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Day to... It was an endless ecosystem of counterproductive and unhealthy holidays. And I'm sad to say it. I say it from my own personal experience, me as a human being, and more importantly, me watching the behaviors of others as they needlessly and counterproductively fall into lapses in terms of productivity, happiness, and quality of life because of some of these deliberately designed missteps that are placed into the equation, the life equation. So what can we do with Cadence? Cadence will be an interactive entertainment franchise, and I think about animation more than anything, where consumers with the keypad device will be able to make the proper decisions. So it's Friday and you arrive at work. Is it okay or is it mandatory for the entire Friday to be a time sink and to be against the interests of the employer who took all the risk and all the hard work in order to enable your job? Is it okay to show up on Friday and go like this and sit back on a chair? I don't think so. I think that's what caused the American economy, and even though we're the most exceptional and the most vibrant and the most prolific as far as GDP and as far as economic numbers, and we've been the most industrious from the inception of Western civilization, we're a testament to grit and to willpower and to getting things done. But still, there's been a lot of things that got in our way over the years. Now, how do we fix that? One way would be the education system. I'm not so fond of it. I experienced it. I got multiple degrees. I'm not so fond of it. Another way to do it is through entertainment content. How many times did we hear and read and learn growing up that people now watch more videos than they read books? And the whole education or edutainment or entertainment landscape has been dramatically changing over the course of time. Well, we need animation and entertainment content that practically educates and informs and guides consumers of all ages, senior citizens, to adults, to adolescents, to children. So Cadence is about reclaiming our time. It's time. It's Onvoi. How do we do it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Milliseconds, eons, generations, millennia, decades, months, All the segments of time, the interactive movie experience, is time. They become characters. But it's not an obligatory, I'm bad. They're good. He's lazy. Lazy Sunday morning. Friday, I'm off. Wednesday, hump day. Monday, I'm bored. I'm out of energy. No. All the segments of time, whether it's days of the week, months of the year, whether it's years, historically speaking, or futuristically speaking, or whether it's blocks of time larger than the everyday phraseology that we're exposed to, whether it's generations, decades, we're going to put a positive spin on it so that the next generation doesn't suffer at the expense of the mishaps, the lackadaisicalness, the negligence, and the oblivious attitude that was held by the previous generations. In many ways, people my age and people younger, and even people older than me, and I'm 37, they think the past stopped caring. And in many ways, they did, because they fell into the cyclical trap. It's just the way it is. Let it go. No, don't increase productivity. I've got what I've got. It worked out for me. It will work out for the next generation too. And wow, statistically speaking, where are we at? In many ways, we're at rock bottom. Things are looking very grim for many people. So we use the cadence franchise, and cadence means tick, tack, tick, tack, tick, tack, tick, tack. Every second counts. Milliseconds, seconds, tenths of a second. Every second counts. Either we are trying to improve this ecosystem, we are trying to improve our environment, we are trying to improve our family, we are trying to improve ourselves, or we've given up. And we can't give up. That franchise, and it will be interactive, because the audience participation, which is user-friendly and simple, will teach people that you're in control. You don't just sit and watch a 3-hour depressing movie that demoralizes you and leads you into a long period of time where you make mistakes or feel like, hey, I'm in a hardship. I'm in a terrible situation, but I guess it's just the way it is. Well, that's how the media complex has put that storyline together for so long. It's time for it to change. And Onvoi can help it change to make it more positive, more uplifting, and more beneficial for consumers and for audiences. So we talked about aeronautics. We talked about cadence. Let's talk about prolifics. What is more important than construction and development? Very few things. Think about the New Deal. Many years ago, when the United States of America built the U.S. highways and the U.S. interstates, what a complex project. It required so much intellect, so much street smarts, so much willpower, so much information, so much education, so much effort. We have, in the Pacific Northwest, we have some of the most elaborate mountains and hills that God Himself created. Think about how difficult it was to build I-90 West on top of that terrain. Well, we did it, and we built interstates across all 50 states nationwide. What a thrilling accomplishment, something to be proud of. Well, now you drive that highway, it's still not that safe. We still have concerns, worries, and we should be, about luminosity. How well illuminated are our streetways, our roadways, our highways, our interstates? Do we have the proper lighting to keep motorists safe? Do we have the proper asphalt that's color coordinated to increase luminosity? Or do we have these old black roads that are pretty much conducive to a crash at night in a very dangerous environment. And then we have the issue of crime. Certain city blocks with no electric power lines in rural America and in inner cities. With a lack of electricity, we have 5G. We have telecom opportunities that are, like I said in the other video, we're approaching the fourth industrial revolution in terms of history. Well, how do we enable these things? Are we going to rely on the fourth grade school teacher to teach the people this in a practical, simple, straightforward manner? I do not think so. I do not think so. And when they graduate from the K to 12 and they go to high school, is it going to get better? And when they go to high school to college, is it going to get better? And then they finish college after borrowing to go to college, and they go postgraduate, and they borrow more to go postgraduate, and then it's supposed to get better? How do we fix things? Construction and development. And I'm talking about construction machinery too. The cranes, the bulldozers. Those are state-of-the-art machines, all kinds of machinery. How did we build the skyscrapers? How did we build the bridges that connect land to land when a waterway is in between? Those are the things that should be prioritized in our education system. Those are the things that should be prioritized when we turn on the TV. That's the purpose of Onvoi. Industriousness, innovation, practicality, science, intelligence, math. It should be taught. If it's not taught in the schools, if the schools give up, which God willing they will never give up, and I know there's many great people working in schools, but then we need an edutainment or educational or entertainment medium to teach kids the right values so that they can choose and guide and pick the right morals and the right perspectives and the right storylines to help guide the adventures, guide the stories of beloved characters, construction machinery as characters. How prolific, and the franchise is Prolifics. Prolifics, that's the construction themed interactive franchise. How fast are they moving the project along and how safely? And are they slowing down to get an extra buck in their pocket? Slowing down, causing road closures, causing traffic, causing mayhem? Or are they getting in, getting the project done, the best of their ability, under the circumstances, regardless of the circumstances? And then they finish on time and they have a respect for motorists, they have a respect for pedestrians, they have a respect for everyone. And they earn their paycheck and they get it done. And afterwards, they can look, in hindsight, they can look behind them and they can say, I could have done this better. Well, guess what? It never ends. The construction, the development, the innovation, the industriousness never ends. We put our best foot forward and it only gets better from here. We have aeronautics, we have prolifics, we have cadence. What else is on the list? Agromax. The other interactive franchise that Onvoi, my company, wants to put on the map, the entertainment map, and it's going to be interactive content. Agromax, we're talking about agricultural machinery. Think about that. It can be as simple as a lawnmower. How many times in America's suburbs did we hear such noise pollution that we said, my God, we may as well be living in the worst ghetto, in the worst city in the world, because the landscapers had zero respect for the eardrums of the everyday resident in the suburbs. That's a lawnmower. We're talking about balers. We're talking about the big agricultural machinery. We have hundreds and hundreds of millions of undeveloped acres in the United States of America. Just because some of our city governments and just because some of our cities are not willing to comply with everyday reasonable norms that would optimize, maximize quality of life. Just because so many of our big cities have just decided to go rogue and essentially betray the citizens that live, pay taxes, and do everything they do within the city ecosystem. That doesn't mean that's what we're stuck with. You know what? First and foremost, we reform those cities. Second of all, we have hundreds and hundreds of millions of undeveloped acres in the United States of America. Like pasture lands, green grass, forests, timber forest, hickory wood, softwoods, hardwoods, lumber. Does it take a fire to wipe those trees down so we can build new municipalities, new towns, villages, and cities that could enable high quality of life for our future children? Does it take a natural disaster for that to happen? I hope not. Rather, let's do it the intelligent, the industrious way, the pragmatic way. We do it with another example of innovation: machinery, agricultural machinery, agromax. And we can get into the whole conversation about environmentalism versus capitalism, environmentalism versus industriousness, and it's very important. We want clean air, we want clean water, that's all vital and important. But we also need to think about the future. If we have, in terms of population density, we have so many people living within so many few miles within the U.S. And if you take the voyage to the Pacific Northwest and you drive across, like I did, South Dakota, and you drive across Montana and Wyoming and Idaho and Washington State, my friends, Washington State. When you see the empty fields, what can we build? We can build a new airport. We can build a practical airport. We can build a new military base to help with a variety of initiatives. We can build new practical neighborhoods where children will be happy and educated and intelligent and fulfilled growing up and raising families there. There is so much opportunity in the United States of America. And I know the United States of America is a microcosm. The other countries are thinking the exact same way. Add in telecommunications, add in 5G, telecom networks, broadband, internet, Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. We still live in a society where you can't go to the coffee shop and back and not run out of internet. We still have that issue. Or you can't get in the car, ask the smartphone for navigational instructions, for driving directions, and not get a bad direction. We have so much room for progress and improvement. Some people want to do it through the schools. Some people want to rely on the Fortune 100s to do it. I want to rely on my startup, and I have the noblest of intentions to make it happen. So we talked about aeronautics, agromax, cadence, prolifics, industriousness, productivity, prosperity, improvement of quality of life for every man, woman, and child. The only other one I'll add is astrologia. And just like aeronautics, it speaks to space and what's going on up there. And don't forget about the Space Force. You think someone's a Looney Tune just because they talk about Space Force? No, it's real. It's a separate branch of government. Now, the military-industrial complex, the armed forces added the Space Force. It happened recently. And God bless the United States, I'm so glad that it happened. The other one is astrologia. That one's more entertaining. They're all going to be very entertaining. They're all going to be very practical. But astrologia is a unisex brand that has to do with the horoscopes and has to do with the cosmos. We're Sagittarius, we're Leos, we're Aries, we're Geminis, we're this, and this, and that. That's going to create an ecosystem for men and women where by way of birthright, there's going to be a consumer products availability there in terms of it's going to be a hot selling brand. And I can't wait for you guys to see what I'm working on and programming. And God willing, if I get the funding, we're going to be able to create a new ecosystem, a new platform of interactive entertainment content. It's called Onvoi. It's called the Onvoi Entertainment System, the OES. And when we install it underneath the TV set in the living room, it's going to bring families together. It's going to instill the right values in the audiences and the consumers who will be thrilled when they make the purchase. And we're going to heighten the imagination. We're going to focus and calibrate the moral compass. We're going to improve many, many, many lives. And we're going to make money doing it. Because that's the American dream. So on behalf of Onvoi, Onvoi LLC, Onvoi Interactive, I'm signing out for the evening. And I hope that this can be enabled financially, this project, this venture, because it's going to touch so many people's lives, it's going to improve so many people's lives, and above all else, it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. It is entertainment, after all. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful evening.